I wanted to start, if you guys want, we could start like a series of Chavot HaLevavot, which is a very good sefer. I think the Magid, the Bet Yosef used to have a personal angel that he used to learn with. So I think the Magid told the Bet Yosef that he should learn every single day Chavot HaLevavot. I think the Arizal also brings that a person should learn Chavot HaLevavot every day. It's a very chashuv sefer. So I thought maybe we would start a series of Chavot HaLevavot would be beneficial to all of us, especially myself. So, and in habit, so we'll do Orchot Tzadikim today. It says, HaTorah b'Shoshan ketarim nechtaru l'Yisrael. There are 3 crowns that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave the Jewish people. These refer to spiritual crowns, spiritual responsibilities which elevate a person above physicality. Right, the more spirituality a person has, the more a person gets elevated to a spiritual plane. A person lives, like the Chazon Ish says, a person might be a person, but he's really a malach ben hanashim. A person can reach a level where he could be an angel that walks among people. The only way a person could do that if he elevates himself through Torah. Keter Torah, there's one crown which is the Keter Torah when a person is called Kulon Torah, his whole life is called Davuk B'Torah. There's Keter Kiunam, and the Kohen. Keter Malchut, the king. Keter Kiunah Zachar Ba'aron, Kiunah the Kohen Aaron received, for him and his children forever. David HaMelech received Keter Malchut, the kingship is going to be in David HaMelech's lineage forever. Keter Torah, Munach V'omed Mukhan Kol Israel. This is something that's put for all of Klal Israel. There's no Messiah. We're learning the importance of learning Torah. And then we're going to learn Hilchot Shabbat. So Keter Torah is there for everybody. Anybody wants, he can come, he can sit and learn, he can become great in Torah. It's not miyuchat for anybody, there's no special yichus here, you don't have to be, right, no, you don't have to be a special person to become great. Torah tzivalanu Hashem Arashak Elet Yaakov, kol mi shirit yavo v'yitol. If you're going to say, if this is available for everybody and those are designated, maybe those are even greater, it tells you no. Keter Torah is even greater than all of them. Right? The Chachamim tell us, Mamzer Tamid Chacham, if a person is a Tamid Chacham but he's a Mamzer, he goes before Kon Gadol and Amaretz to teach you that even though he has Keter Kionan, the Tamid Chacham Keter Torah goes before. Right?
Before a Kon?
Before a Kon Gadol. Right? In Gabi Kibudim. Right? Because if it's a Tamid Chacham, then he has 2 advantages. Right? He has 2 advantages. But now we're just comparing Keter Torah to Keter Kionan. He says there's no mitzvah in all the mitzvot which are shakul, which is as if it was like Talmud Torah, except Talmud Torah is connected kol mitzvot. When a person learns Torah, it's equivalent to all the mitzvot in the Torah. Meaning to say he masses every single moment mitzvot upon mitzvot upon mitzvot upon mitzvot. There's no mitzvah in all the mitzvot of Torah that can amass to such an extent like learning about Torah. Imagine any mitzvah, a person doesn't learn Torah, for example, and he goes through his whole entire day. There's only a certain amount of mitzvot that you could do. When a person learns Torah, he's Mekayim mitzvot, every moment, every second is a mitzvah. Mitzvah. You could come out after an hour with thousands of mitzvot. Something that you cannot get anywhere else. A person in 1 month can amass millions of mitzvot. That means that he has in his bank account tremendous amount of zechuyot. Not only that, he says, Lefisha Tamud Meveli De Maaseh. A person who learns Torah brings the person to action, brings the person to doing. If a person's mind, if a person's logic is limited to his little bit of knowledge, there's only so much that he could do, because there's only so much that he understands. The more a person learns, the more vast a person's knowledge becomes, the more a person understands, the more deeper a person understands, and the more a person does. The more a person does, right? Not only the more a person does, but even the quality of what a person does is much greater. It's incomparable, right? If you compare a person that's understanding level and his level in Ruchnius is in comparison to somebody it's not, their Avodas Hashem is completely different. And Chazal, whenever Chazal says Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam, he has a fascinating Chiddush here. He says Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam is talking about only if a person learns on the conditions to teach, to guard, to do, and to fulfill. Right? Right? This is very interestingly. He says when a person is learning B'Kivyu Torah and he's learning, he can't do anything right now, and he's learning. Right? But when a person is not learning, he tries to fulfill as many mitzvot as he can. He tries to be active in his performance of Avodas Hashem and performing the Torah. So when a person is not learning, and he's active in Olam Hazan, and he's going and he's fulfilling the mitzvot as much as he can, he's showing what he really wants. He's showing that his mind is connected to Torah. He's showing that his heart is connected to Torah. That's why he's constantly busy in Torah and mitzvot. Then Talmud Torah is connected kulam. Why? Because when a person is learning, he wants to do the mitzvah. Now that he couldn't do it because he's learning and he's by the mitzvah and he does it. So even when he's learning, it's connected kula, because if he wouldn't be learning, he'd be out there doing mitzvot. So now when he's learning Torah, he gets a schar as if he's mekayim mitzvot the whole entire time as well. But a person that goes batel, person learns, but when he's not learning, batel means he doesn't do anything. But he's involved in nonsense. Right? Instead of being involved in maybe chesed, gemilut chasadim, right? The proper things, working on a person's midot, shmirat halashon, shmirat ha'inayim. Person can constantly be growing at every moment, right? In any conversation, in every moment, in every scenario.
He could be growing in those ways as well.
Which way?
Not necessarily. He could be having a conversation with a fellow Jew, for example.
Right, that's also true. That's true. That's also considered growing. That's also considered being involved in performing mitzvot. But some people don't do anything. Just like to sit and play a video game or something, I don't think that's, or to be involved in, you'd be surprised, I went to Eretz Yisrael. I went to Eretz Yisrael last month. I'm sitting on the plane, the airplane is full, I see 2 empty seats next to me. I was like, okay, Baruch Hashem, nobody's gonna come, I'm gonna have empty seat. One of the last people that came, big guy. Oh, good. He looks African, big dreadlocks like this, right? Yeah, so I didn't know he was Jewish at first. I didn't know he was Jewish at first, and then he was very dark. I told him he was African. I couldn't figure it out. Then he sat next to me, right? And he was Israeli. I thought this big guy like this, he's like 40s. Suddenly I see he takes out a phone. He's playing video games the whole time. Right? So, people. So that's what he's saying. He's saying that if a person wastes his time when he could be living a more productive life, so even so,
Are you gonna give him the song on the airplane?
Right? A person could fulfill mitzvot at this moment that he's being mevatel. Right? He could be doing a lot of things. A person could go to shul, he can help, he can do this one, he could call somebody that he knows is going through a hard time, maybe make him feel better. There's so many things that a person could be doing in his free time. But what a person decides to sit and do nothing and be batel. Now I'm not saying that it's us to be batel. Sometimes people need it to rejuvenate. People are human also. People also need to sit and relax in their backyard, whatever it is, and just to rejuvenate. That's true, right? But when a person, right, or he says when a person is doing a mitzvah, but he doesn't really care to do the mitzvah properly. Masha, yesh, chik-chak, right? So such a person, when he's learning Torah, it's not Talmud Torah K'neged Kulam.
Oh, really?
It's not Talmud Torah K'neged Kulam. You hear this chiddush? She's saying because the only reason why it's Talmud Torah K'neged Kulam is because otherwise he would be fulfilling mitzvot. So now that he's learning, he can't be fulfilling mitzvot. He's busy learning. So now Hashem gives him schar as if he's fulfilling the mitzvot. But even when he's not learning, he's not doing mitzvot. Even when he is learning, it's not Talmud Torah K'neged Kulam. He gets a mitzvah every second, but he doesn't get like 613 mitzvahs every time he learns Torah. Because every time he's sitting and learning, Hashem gives him schar as if he's making tons of mitzvot also, besides the Talmud Torah. But that's only a person that we just mentioned. But if not, then you only get the schar of the Torah. It's a big schar also, but it's not K'neged Kulam. He says the person that wants to fulfill this mitzvah, a person wants to have the crown of Torah, the person wants to be, to take the Torah and to have a chelik in it. A person cannot have his mind pondering all over the place of things that are nonsense and useless. And people, a lot of times they spend a time during their day thinking about things that don't really get them anywhere, don't really do anything. Right? Also, a person shouldn't think that he's going to be a Talmid Chacham, he's going to be Kohen Torah with wealth as well. Right? The person wants to become a millionaire, he wants to become Gadol Hador. It doesn't work like that. Right? It's to acquire to be a Talmid Chacham, Keter Torah with Oisher. A person shouldn't think that it's going to happen. Person needs to live. Person needs to accustom himself with basic necessities. When a person is learning and is kokul and is sugya and is constantly being involved in different things, it's not the same. right? It says a person should eat bread, right, with salt, a little bit of water. He should sleep on the floor, live a life of tsar, and he should toil in Torah. Right? So often we see people like that.
There's got to be tzaddik.
Right? You go to
All this time, not all this time.
you ever go to Rav Steinman's house? Anybody ever go to Rav Steinman's house? Rav Steinman's house. If you go with Rav Steinman, could be living in a mansion any given day. Right? Right? His house was so old. I was there several times. It was so old. He had pots and pans from like 30, 40 years ago. Windows I can never see. Spoons that look like antiques. His bed was old. He didn't even sit comfortably. He used to sit down on his bed and he used to put like a hard chair in back of him against the wall so he could lean on the leg. And he learned day and night, day and night, day and night. He never comforted himself with Olam Hazeh. He never bothered to get involved in Olam Hazeh. That's like that story of the Chafetz Chaim. Right? Somebody came to the Chafetz Chaim's house and told him, Rabbi, where's all the rabbi's furniture? Right? Where's all the rabbi's furniture? Right? So the rabbi told him, where's your furniture? He told him, I don't live here. I'm just passing through town. He said, I don't live here either, also I'm just passing through town. Right? It's a mentality. Not everybody can live on such a level. It is a mentality. But just to give you an idea that if a person really wants to be Kohen Torah, he needs some sort of self-sacrifice. A person cannot expect to become a Talmid Chacham and also expect to live comfortably where he doesn't give up anything of himself as well. A person needs to give up that self-comfort. A person wakes up in the morning, it takes push to get up. A person wants to sit and learn. Sometimes he has to go do something. It takes strength to be able to push it off till later, to be able to sit and learn. Right? See, these are things that people need to do. You need to be able to take your time and to learn and to take your life and to push yourself, to use your body to serve your soul and not your soul to serve your body. That's because what it is. Right? If a person is going to say, he says, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get into business, I'll make a lot of money. Right? And then once I'm going to be free, I'm going to go sit and learn all day. He says, if you think that's true, you're never going to be Zocher to Keter Torah. Never going to happen. Why? Anybody knows. Once you start getting involved in money, there's no end. It's like a yam she'en lo suf, right? You always want more and more and more and more, and you always feel like you're going to get more and more and more, and what was once enough is not enough, right? And what once is going to be enough is never going to be enough, and l'maisa you sink into it, right? That's what happens to everybody. Ela aseh Torat chakeva, right? There, what should a person do? A person, there's Shulchan Aruch, by the way. A person should make his Torah kavua, his life should be Torah, his day should be Torah, u'malachto alai, and his business should be secondary. His business should be secondary. And a person should never say, when I'll be free, I'll learn, because it's never going to happen. The Chavot HaLevavot says something very interesting. He says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives Parnasa, right, for 3 different reasons. 1, as a gift to a person, to be mative with him. 2, as a test for a person. 3, as a curse for a person. Right? So how does the person know which one he has? And he explains. How does a person know which one he has? He explains something very interesting. He says, he says it in more detail. That's true, you're saying. Right? He says over there that if a person's life consists with the way the Shulchan Aruch says, a person learns every day. A person has a Seder, he learns Halakha Biyun every day, he learns Gemara every day, he learns Mishnayot. He advances in his spirituality every day, Avodat Tefillah, Avodat Amidot, and 3, 4, 5 hours a day he goes to work. That's it, 3, 4 hours a day max he goes to work. Right? Shulchan Aruch says if a person will do that, he'll have a lot of bracha in his job. He'll have bracha in his Yasiyat Dishma in his avodah. Right? He won't need to do, right? Because at the end of the day, Parnas is only in the Shemaim. The Ramchal says all the ishtadlus that we do is really just a knas. It's really just a fine, a tax that we have to pay. So he says that the Ramchal says something very interesting. He says lo sheishtadlus hu mo'il ela shehu mukhrach. Is a very important word to know. He says ishtadlus doesn't work, but you have to do it. Because what's supposed to happen is going to happen anyways. You must do your ishtadlus, but it's not that ishtadlus works, right? Which is a very important concept. When a person believes in Divrei Chazal and he's able to give his life into learning Torah and advance and secondary his parnasa, that's when a person really starts to grow spiritually. That's when a person really starts to advance to levels which are above. Now, the Chavot HaLevavot says, if a person no, so he says if a person's parnasa doesn't take away a person from serving Hashem, right? If a person has panas and he's able to serve Hashem all day, his mind is always growing, learning, doing mitzvot, and so on and so forth. And his panas of him is always like a secondary thing. It doesn't occupy him. It doesn't deviate him from serving Hashem. It's not like, oh, I gotta go to Shacharit, but I have a customer. I'll daven later by myself, right? Or a person once the person finishes davening, he has to go open up his store at 10 o'clock. Why? Maybe somebody's gonna come, or maybe somebody is coming, or somebody is coming. It says, right? Or if a person's money is deviating a person, taking a person away from Hashem, right? He says that's a test for a person. Whenever a person's money is constantly putting a person in a struggle, taking him away from Hashem, right? Even though a person's battling, he's winning here and there, that's a test for a person to see how he's going to overcome all of his battles. But if a person is not even a test for him, Torah, Tefillah, Avodat Hashem is always first, everything comes second. His customer calls him the night before, says, tomorrow morning, I need to meet you 11 o'clock. He says, 11 o'clock I'm learning, I'm only going to be there at 3 o'clock. If you want, I'll be there at 3 o'clock. Right? A person does not allow his parnasa to interfere with Avodat Hashem, and he has parnasa, he says, that's a gift from Hashem. And he says, what's a curse, he says? He says, the curse is when Hashem gives a person parnasa, and he only uses it for his tavot all day. He forgets about Hashem. Right? Torah, Tefillah, no nothing. He says that's a curse for a person. Why? That HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives him in this world money, he gives him whatever he needs in this world, and says after 120, not for you. Right? In this world you can have whatever you want. That's already considered a curse for a person, which is not something that everybody wants. Right? A person can have Olam Hazeh, but it's temporary. After 120, he's going to go into an eternal world and not going to have anything. That's Khurban. One time the Chafetz Chaim's wife, asked him, she said, Rabbi, we're righteous, we do so much, and we're struggling financially. He said, how is it possible our neighbor, right, doesn't keep anything? They say this is the story from the Chafetz Chaim's wife, I don't know. Right? So how could it be that our neighbor doesn't keep anything, and they have everything, right? They're successful and so on and so forth. Chafetz Chaim tells his wife, what do you mean? He says, Baruch Hashem, we have Shabbat, we have Yom Tov, we have Torah, we have mitzvot, we have the Borei Olam, we have Olam Haba. He says, this guy miskin, Torah doesn't have, Chagim doesn't have, Shabbat doesn't have, Olam Haba doesn't have. What, you want Hashem not to give him money also? At least this world Hashem should give him. Right? If I feel bad for him, miskin, right? So, it's a different perspective, which is real. Right? If a person has money and his money is destroying his spirituality, that money is a direct curse for this person. That's what Chavot Levot says. Therefore, a person has to also be smart. A person has to know to focus on what's really important. Now we're starting Hilchot Shabbat.
Two halachot, Muftach Yeshubenu Olam Haba. A person learns two halachot, Muftach Yeshubenu every day.
Well, I get dressed.
You usually stay to the end. Where are you going?
The shaitan is right now, when you're going to put the halachot inside his body, it's going to be stronger. How? It's halachot Shabbat, how to make Shabbat.
We'll start from the beginning again. I think we once started, but we'll start from the beginning again, and we'll try to go through Orchot Bishul to understand exactly how all the laws of Bishul apply on Shabbat, cooking on Shabbat. We're going to start with the laws of cooking on Shabbat, and we'll go through different things on Shabbat. Would apply to everybody all the time. Right? We had a Shaila. I had a Shaila also this past Shabbat. We had a Shailan, right? They put osvo with the eggs inside on the hot plate, and not the hot plate, the crock pot. Right on the crock pot, and somebody, I don't know, accidentally put it to the highest setting. And it was so hot, and it was over boiling and everything.
You dried it up.
Right, but this was Friday night, so they wanted to pick it up, wipe it, put some foil over there, and put it back on. So you're allowed to do that?
No, of course not.
No. Yeah.
I think
It's not cooked yet, right?
If it's a dry stuff, it's
So that's what you have to ask. You have to know if it's cooked.
Before Shabbat?
You have to know if it's cooked or not Shabbat. You have to know if it's cooked. So
put foil.
Let's hear the question again, I'm sorry, because I was not awake.
if you have
When we hit the two halachot, we have to follow it.
you have osvo with eggs.
Yes.
The fire was too high.
Yes.
Now it's boiling too much. You want to take it off the fire, wipe everything on the bottom. Not the fire, the crock pot. Wipe everything on the bottom from all the oil that's spilled there. You want to put some foil there and you want to put it back. So is that allowed or is that not allowed?
Is it cooked already or wasn't it cooked?
Mashiach.
So that's the question.
So they
To protect.
so they told me that it was cooked. So they told me the eggs are also fully
It's
cooked.
half cooked.
So if it's half cooked, for sure you're not allowed to. Once you take it off, you're removing it from its cooking. You right now disconnected it from its cooking.
Never wanted pork until it's cooked, because his kid is going to burn his entire oswald. But right now, over here, that's the only way. He wants not to burn it. He picks it up, he puts the foil inside, and he's okay with it.
But it's only if it's fully it's only if it's fully cooked.
Yeah.
Right, but say if it's not fully cooked.
Because at night, so it's already cooked. It's not like he put it and then 1 hour afterward it happened. It happened 4 or 5 hours afterward.
So you have to know that. So what about if it's cooked, but there's still a lot of room for it to cook and get better? Is that considered fully cooked? What's considered fully cooked?
It's not fully cooked.
What's considered fully cooked? If I take out the egg right now, it'll be white. It won't be like the way you like it, but it's cooked.
Yes.
Or also.
It's not dark.
So what's fully? So B'etzem, once it's cooked to the point.
If you're saying the oswald, you like it dark, it doesn't mean it's not cooked. The egg also, even though it's white, it doesn't mean it's not cooked.
That's true.
The egg and the oswald is cooked, but you
Right.
like it in the tarigeshki much more better. It doesn't mean it's not cooked. It's
true.
not coming. Women usually, they will make already the meat, they fry the meat for sure is ready. The rice is they put
Was
it
that in
in
the shul or was that in somebody's house?
the house you're talking
The
about.
house.
This was in somebody's house?
Yeah.
Oh, so it wasn't in the shul. I thought it was in the shul.
No, it's someone else.
Would it make a difference if it was in the shul?
No.
Would it make a difference, right?
Turning on the light.
So it's
Sid, you'll understand the question better. You think
it's
about
mutar
it,
because
so you
it's
cannot
fully cooked.
understand. The rabbi is talking naturally.
Mutar it's fully cooked.
Fully.
Fully-
He's gonna take out his eyes now.
Fully cooked is when something gets to the point where normal people eat it like that. That's already considered fully cooked. Or now some people like it better or more, or whatever else it might be. That's already not. That's already.
People who want
Yeah.
to
Now let's start from the beginning. The Shulchan Aruch starts on Mavashel b'Shabbat or Shasa Achad Mishar Melachot. A person that cooks on Shabbat or he did any other melacha on Shabbat. So if a person did a bimezid, if a person did something purposely, asur lo le'olam. It's also for him to have hana'ah from this melacha forever, right? But other people are allowed to have benefit from the melacha that this person did motzei Shabbat right away. Right, motzei Shabbat right away. Say if a person went and he took something raw, he didn't realize, then he put it on the. And say a person took something raw, he doesn't care, right? Doesn't keep Shabbat. He went and he cooked something on Shabbat. You tell me, you're not allowed to do that. It's also, right? So for him, it's also for him to eat it forever. I don't know if he's going to care, but for you, it's also to eat it that Shabbat. You're only allowed to eat it motzei Shabbat. Right, you will not be able to eat it. Now, this not only applies to cooking; it's also to everything. Right. For example, ubishoygeg. But if it happened accidentally, I'll tell you an example that happened to me this past Shabbat. Right, ubishoygeg. So if a person did something accidentally, asur bo bayom gam lachirim. It's asur to everybody to benefit from it on Shabbat, him and everybody. Well, erev but motzei Shabbat, it'd be mutter for everybody. For him also. Now, it applies to every single malacha. So in my house, I had a lot of people over, Baruch Hashem, and what happened is, and I have a faucet, and I have this, you know the faucet that you pull? No, the hot and cold is up, down, but to turn it on, you push out, right? So I guess somebody pushed it out, and the faucet came off. Like it disconnected, like it has like a bowl or something, and it like connects inside, right? So it came out, I guess, and it went like next to the sink. So now, right, to put it back in, is an issa d'oraita. It's binyan. It's mechubar lakarka. If I take this faucet and I click it back in, it's an issa d'oraita of binyan on Shabbat.
What is binyan?
Building, right? It's an issa d'oraita of building on Shabbat. Just like if I go to my window, and I have a net on my window, and I want to take out my net. You know the clicks? You just click it out of your window or put it back in. That's an issa d'oraita also on Shabbat. Not to do that, right? That's also building and destroying. Now, this happened Friday night. Shabbat morning, I come, I see it's back on. People don't know. Not everybody knows halachot. You have people there, you know. And I told my wife, I was like, I don't know who did it, right? But I told her that you're not allowed to use that sink.
Really?
You're not allowed to use that sink. Yeah, why? Why? Because when malacha was done here, the Shulchan Aruch says anytime any malacha was done, right, there's an issa d'oraita, you cannot benefit from it until Motzei Shabbat.
Black.
So I told her she can't use that sink, you can use the other sink. Right? She said, okay, whatever. So I don't know who did it, but I had an idea who did it. Right? Not purposely, accidentally, people don't know. I think a lot of people put it back on. People don't generally think that something like that would be wrong. It would be wrong either, but people wouldn't expect it to be an issa d'oraita.
Still move it right and left.
No, it came off.
The whole thing.
It came off, yeah. It came off. You could push it like this, the thing over there, but put the handle back on. Right? So my question was, somebody did it by accident. Nobody's allowed to benefit from it until Motzei Shabbat. Do I have an obligation to tell everybody they're not allowed to use it? I had that question. I'm not sure. Do I have a chiv to go and tell everybody, oh, there's a malacha done over here? Nobody's allowed to have an half with the whole Shabbat. Do I have an obligation? Or no, I know I can do it, but I don't have a chiv to go and tell everybody.
The person who knows about it, he's not allowed to have benefit, but the other person, what enough kamina that you have to tell him about it.
That's my
He doesn't
question.
know nothing about it.
That's my question. Do I have to tell him? But it's also for him also.
Why
If he
ask him?
doesn't
But
know,
if he doesn't know about it, it's like
getting
somebody
any-
right now.
But it's putting a stumbling block in front of a person.
Somebody now, he has electric door, let's say, to come to the building.
Yeah.
Yeah, he used his card and he left the door open. Are you not allowed to enter the door no more?
Jewish guy?
Jewish guy. He did it. He came with the electric card and he put it on the door.
You're not allowed to go inside with him. No.
He did not know. The other guy, he told the doorman, maybe left it open.
Oh, okay. That's something
So,
else.
If he's behind him is something else. He's not allowed to enter him until another guy comes and he goes with him. But over here the question is, what does he do? If you're gonna stand over there the whole day, say to people not to come into the building, it's
No, so there I would say you don't have a chiv to do that.
But over here,
Right.
why by the faucet you were saying you have a chiyuv?
Because you're there.
Yeah, but they don't
You are-
know that it's a sin.
You never knew that.
They
Why
don't
you,
know that.
why
If you know something is also, you don't have a chiv to tell somebody if you know that somebody wants to know. Say for example, if I know something is, if something is usher, I don't know. Would I appreciate if somebody tells me? I don't know.
I want to ask a question.
You're saying it's not usher altogether because I don't know.
Because you don't know.
I don't know.
מה שאתה לא יודע,
Is that true? I
Yeah,
don't
it's not
know.
accountable.
I don't know if that's true.
אם אני נכנס לבית כנסת, מישהו הדליק לפניי, אני לא יודע, מישהו הדליק לפניי, איך קוראים לזה? air condition. Jewish, פח הדליק את זה.
אז מה, תצא מהבית כנסת ותשב בחוץ?
מה אני אעשה?
Let's tell you a different example, right? Let's say a different example. Say somebody didn't realize that on Shabbat, right? They go, light is not really such a good example. This example that I told you is a good example. So that's my question. I don't know. Do I have to say it or don't I have to say it? I don't know. You have to. If you want to claim I don't have to show me, you have to show me a proof. Where does it say I don't have to say it? I didn't see anywhere in the poskim that say I have to say, I don't have to say. Nobody mentions it.
Nobody mentioned, but something שלא שייך, מה שייך להגיד?
Why is it not שייך?
You have a few faucets in the house. Anybody uses whatever they want.
But this particular one is usher.
This particular one, if it's asur, you put a cover on top of the faucet head.
Out
and you're
of
done.
service.
Yakte sarposh monet, I used to say, take or something.
Do I have to do that?
Yeah, well, it's already done.
If you want to not mixture other people, according to you, so you put something to cover it, and that's all people use the second faucet.
Are they nichshal?
They're not nixal because it's something they did not need to begin with.
I asked the same question to my Rosh Hashiva about something else. Somebody asked me if you have a thermostat, right? Say a landlord, right?
Mama?
Say a landlord,
Hello.
right? He owns a house and he has a few tenants over there. So he has these smart thermostats. Not everybody knows how to use them. So the landlord wants to program all these thermostats that as soon as you leave the house, everything turns off, and as soon as you come in, everything turns back on. But the tenants don't know that this is how it works. But as soon as they come in, they cause it to turn on.
Automatic.
But they don't realize, they just think that it's an temperature stat. But be'etzem, if they would know, it would be usher. is that considered that I'm being machshel him or not?
Of course.
מה אתה מקשיב? את מי? הם עשו שום פעולה, אני שואל אותך פה שאלה.
לא, הם לא, אבל אני יש לי
אתה
שאלה.
עכשיו לפי הדיבור שלך, אתה הולך עכשיו ברחוב, יש פה עכשיו,
אני יכול לדבר?
לא ידעת, יש שם...
אנחנו לא ידענו, היינו מתפללים ברסטורנט. ברסטורנט יש לו אלן, און אין און. אנחנו היינו נכנסים וזה, אחר כך פתאום ראו, זה לא טוב. הרב אמר, לא להיכנס מהדלת הזה, אבל הוא לא יודע, מה אכפת לו? הוא לא יודע בכלל. אבל אמר, הרב...
לא שלא... תשמע עכשיו.
זה משהו אחר, זה פסיק רישא דרבנן ולא אכפת לי, זה יותר טוב. פה, turning on the heat is doraisa, and it's not something you don't want, it's something you do want. You're just not aware that you're doing it. If it's a drabanan like a light, like he's saying, you're walking outside, right? Even if I know the light here turns on, right? I walk outside, the light turns on. Even if I want it to turn on, it's an issa drabanan, right? But most of the time, when I walk outside, there's enough light for me everywhere. I don't care if this house light turns on or that house light turns on. I don't need it. It's irrelevant to me. I'm walking home. Whether the lights turn on.
Actually, it's something to do with you, since actually the landlord he actually built the system as is for everyone else, not only especially for you.
You could change the
It's nothing
setting.
for you, but you don't know. And you don't know.
לנדלורד הוא יהודי?
I'll tell you.
אם הוא יודע, הוא עושה change
No, the question is, am I allowed to set it up like that? Am I allowed, or do I have to tell them?
You have to tell them.
You have to get
Or
a
do I have to
permission
change the
You
setting?
have to tell them.
לנדלורד יהודי?
בטח יהודי.
כולם יודעים פה.
אם הוא יהודי זה עבירה על לנדלורד.
זה השאלה.
You are part of the עבירה. If you have to understand, the landlord over here is the one who's actually.
כן, אז הוא
חייב להגיד לו את זה.
הוא חייב והוא צריך...
אם הוא לא אמר לו, והוא לא יודע...
Yeah, there was a big rough here in Queens. I don't want to mention his name. Somebody.
שאלה מבחוץ.
Yeah.
הוא לא יודע. He doesn't know about it, nothing. He comes in and out. Did he make any sin to begin with?
אבל אין לו יודע, הוא כל הזמן מרגיש את זה, הוא נכנס, הוא
אני שאלתי שאלה, הוא מקבל
מתחמם,
תשובה.
בית קר,
בוריס,
מתחמם.
תן לי לשאול את הרב שנייה.
No, I don't think so.
אין, הוא לא יודע, גם הוא יודע וגם לנדלורד יודע. למה?
לא, הוא לא יודע.
לא, אתה
If
מדבר.
you go in out few times, you don't know. But after 1 week, you know
אני אגיד
already.
לך משהו.
Don't know. I'm sorry, I did not know about this.
אני אגיד לך משהו.
In Vegas.
אני אגיד לך משהו.
don't think it's
There was a
24/7 working
there was a big rough here, not too far, locally. It was a very big Talmud Chacham. Somebody told me in his house, he got a Nest thermostat. So when they first mentioned this to me, Nest thermostat, it's a smart thermostat. Every time you walk in and out of the house, if you walk in, it senses nobody's there, it turns off the heating or the air conditioning, whatever. When you walk in, it senses that somebody's at home, and now it reprograms everything to go to the actual settings that you usually like it when you're home.
So,
Understand what happens over here? So he told me, so he asked me if it's mutar to have that setting on. I told him no, it's asur. I told him as soon as I bought my thermostat, I turned off that setting right away. You're not allowed to do it because when you walk in, you're causing everything to turn on and you want it, and it's a doraisa. What's that? What's the difference if I walk in, my physical presence turns it on, or if I physically turn it on? I'm turning it on.
Exactly.
you're reprogramming is the whole thing.
But I'm turning it on. As soon as it go in and it senses me there, I'm turning it on.
Amen.
And I want it on. It's not like I don't want it on. I want it on. I'm setting it like this. It's made to save money. That's really what it's made for. It's made so when people are not there, it doesn't keep things on for no reason. So he told me this big Rav has it on in his house, and he never made a big deal about it, and he, I told him, I don't think he understands how it works, I told him. I told him, I don't even think he knows how it works. He went to this rabbi, and he told him how his thermostat works. His rabbi didn't believe it. And his rabbi tested it, he said, yeah, that's really how it works. And he also turned off that setting in his house. He didn't even realize that it works like that. So, I don't know. It's the same thing would apply here. Do I have to tell him? No, because as long as you're fully not aware of something, are you making an avera or not? You don't even have what to be aware of. There's no reason to have a chashash. Or since be'etzim there is an isser here, I'm mechuyev to tell you. So I asked Rosh Hashiva, he told me he doesn't know.
Was that what the line said?
Rosh Hashiva didn't know.
Your Rosh Hashiva doesn't know?
He doesn't know
He told me
that?
I'm not sure.
No, about the heat.
He didn't like it though. He didn't like it. Didn't like it.
The faucet, you're supposed to put that egg on top of it, and this way you're...
You had a valid question. You said, is it their problem? Do you have to tell them or not?
No.
You don't.
I don't...
So I'm not sure. You know what? Ask somebody. Let me know. I don't know the
I
answer.
have a lot of people asking this question. That's one halacha. Wait 1 second. Please sit down. You're not married. You don't have no obligation to leave.
Okay, ask a question.
I think I was at this Rav's house too that you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think it was Yom Tov. Right when I walked into the property, and right away said it was like a automatic thing. There are cameras outside of the house, something like that. Like I heard like a voice. Is that allowed? Like, are you allowed to walk on the property? And
That I don't care
sensors
about.
and-
That I don't care about because over there, first of all, that's a drabanan. You don't care about it. You don't want it. Doesn't bother you. You couldn't care less for it. That's something else.
It bothered me.
What about
It's
the
somebody's
light?
watching me.
Let's say you go to your neighbor's side yard and you know, let's say you're going Friday night, right? And you know that there's a light that
You want the light to turn on?
No, but there's a sensor.
You don't
It goes
care.
b'chavana, that's the only way to get it.
If it's a psik reisha drabanan, you couldn't care less. It doesn't bother you. It's okay.
So according to this, I can put over here. Right now, outside of my house, instead of leaving the light the whole from Friday until Motzei Shabbat, the light on over there
Put a sensor?
for 24
לא,
hours.
אבל
I put-
אצלך זה דק.
Over here, you want it. Over here, it's dark.
No,
You
since I
want it.
have the backlight of my
Yeah.
house, let's say this area, if I have lights from my dining room and from my kitchen, it gives light to the back.
It's not enough.
Huh?
It's dark here. When the lights were off and I used to come here at nighttime, it's dark here. It's much more comfortable with the light
No,
on.
because I shut off on purpose all the light on the back.
During the night, yeah. Friday, it's
I shut it off on purpose
I know.
because I don't want.
I understand,
the crowds inside.
but I understand. But when the lights are on over here, it's you want it. You want it on. It's so much more comfortable to walk through. I'm talking about when you're walking on the street where there's lights anyway.
של הסלון.
Say I walk to my house Friday night, the streets are full of lights. I don't care if this guy's neighbor turned light. But if it's really dark and it turns on and I benefit from it,
I'm saying if I put on my.
I understand what you're saying. It radiates to the outside and there's enough.
יש לי מס- יותר מדי אור.
I don't know how much it's enough. I still think that you want that extra light.
Okay. בלי נדר.
I think you want that
Tonight,
extra
I'm
light.
going to give a demonstration, and I send it out the light. יש שם מספיק אור.
I know. I came. I used to come here at nighttime. I know what it
אני מפחד
is.
שאני לא אפול.
There is light. I'm not saying there isn't light. But that extra light, when that light used to be on, I enjoyed walking through much more. It's much more visibility.
כן, אתה
It's
אם
not,
לא-
you're creating much more visibility. What I'm talking about that you don't care, I already have all the visibility I need. It's like an extra thing for me. But if it turns on, it's like, oh wow, I can see now. I think over there for sure it's Aser. I asked a similar question to Rosh Hashiva, and then I asked Rav Israeli, and I went back and forth and with Rav Israeli with it. I asked the following question. Refrigerators have lights inside. All refrigerator lights are LEDs. They're all Isidra.
Yeah, but you can shut it off.
They're all Isidra. I don't think they put. I never. Oh, you're saying the light bulb, the old light
This
bulbs?
is normally on hotels.
Never saw that in my life.
Hotel, the LED, which
Everything is
actually
LED today.
אני פעם פתחתי את הזה,
But you could change
Yeah.
אתה יודע, חג אחד לא נדלק, חג שנייה, פתאום יום אחד, פק, נדלק. לא ידעתי מה לעשות. השארתי דלת פתוח והלכתי. זה עם הזמן לבד, פלק נסגר ואנחנו לא פתחנו את
זה
זה.
עולם.
אפשר להגיע לזה, זהו.
אפשר להסיר את הדלת גם.
normally we're shutting this off.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out how is it working. When we go to the hotel, we try to figure out how is it working. It takes us a little bit time, but then we're disconnecting it completely. Before we leave, we're putting it back. It's very difficult.
So I'll tell you what
complicated,
my
but we're
question
shutting it
is.
off.
My question is like this. Rav Avadia says, Psik Reisha D'Rabbanan, Lo Nichali Od Lo Echpat Li is mutar. It's really Machloked Rishon. What I mean by this is like this. If I want to do something mutar, and something Asr is automatically happening, but whatever is happening that's Asr is an Issa D'Rabbanan. Right? I'm doing something mutar, I'm opening a refrigerator door. There's no Issa in opening a refrigerator door. Something automatically is happening. The light's turning on. What is the light? The right or the Rabbanan? The Rabbanan.
Why is it the Rabbanan though? It's the right.
Because there's no flames there. There's no flames there. The old school lights were the right. You had a gachelet inside. All these new lights are all the Rabbanan mainly. I don't know what you have over here, but the LED lights are the Rabbanan for sure. That no question about it, right? Now, so I open up the fridge, right? I don't think it's anything. I think it's like I don't remember even what it was. The way they describe it is that it's nothing. It's nothing there that's happening that makes it the right sound. So when you open the fridge, automatically the Rabbanah is happening. So now the question is, do I want it to happen or don't I want it to happen? So if I'm doing something mutter and the Rabbanah is happening automatically and I don't care if it happens or I don't want it to happen, it's mutter. But if I want it to happen, so then it's a part of my whole intention is for it to happen, that's also, right? Now when I open up a fridge, I have a light inside. Correct? Mm-hmm. Now, let's say my kitchen light is fully on everywhere. even without the light in the fridge, when I open the fridge, I could see everything perfectly. I don't need the light in the fridge. I couldn't care for the light in the fridge. It's bright in my kitchen. I could see everything inside the fridge, right? Now when I open the fridge, the light turns on. But opening the door is asur? No. The light turning on in the fridge is asur. The light turning on in the...
You're saying it's not a...
One second. Asur. So there you have a psik ratio d'Rabbanan, right? Do you want it or don't you want it? So I tried to tell Rabbi Reisman, I tried to tell him that whenever I open my fridge, to me I could see everything in the fridge. He told me that no, you still like the light inside. It gives you much more visibility within the whole fridge.
The inside.
Right, it still gives you much more visibility within the whole fridge. Right, even though there's so much light on the outside, you can see in the inside. You think that...
Depends what type of fridge you have, honestly.
Right, so when you have a deep fridge, it's true.
Deep fridge.
It's true, you want light from the back as well. But at the end of the day, say if you don't have such a deep fridge and you open it, or say I don't want to open the fridge. Say I just want to open one side of the fridge, I want to get something from the handle. I want to get milk from the handle, right? I open up the fridge, I get milk from the door. I forgot to turn off the light, let's say, right? I open up the door and I just want to take milk from the door. I couldn't care less for all these lights over here. I have enough light over here open. I just want to take the milk. I don't need the light. Would that be mutar? That wouldn't be mutar. Based on what we just said, it should be mutar. I'm not saying that you should do it. I'm just saying based on what we just said, it should be mutar.
So we don't confuse the people.
It's
It's
not a
allowed or not allowed.
No, it's not allowed.
Very confusing.
Halakha,
Please, let's...
halakha l'maaseh. No, we're talking in terms. Halakha l'maaseh, you're not allowed to open the fridge with the light inside because at the end of the day, everybody wants a light inside, and you benefit from it. It helps you more in visuality and so on and so forth, right? But can I tell you that if you just want to open the handle and you couldn't care for light, you just want to take the milk out, would that be asur? I don't know. According to Rav, I don't know if that would be asur. I don't think so. But the maaseh, you always have to make sure that you program your fridge on Shabbat mode all the time, right? But let's get back to our question over
What do
here.
you do in the case actually in your hotel and you cannot disconnect the light there?
I think you
How
can
do you deal
bring
with
magnets with you. Bring magnets with you.
What is that?
Magnets.
Magnet? What? Magnet?
I think if you take magnets and you put it somewhere next to the fridge, it turns off the lights.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, or you could take out the light or disconnect it somehow. There is a way to do it.
Sometimes you don't want to break stuff that not belong to you. Is that?
Oh, so you don't break it if you figure out how to do it.
Unscrew and I'll take the cover.
So what? Take it out, put it back in. It's not such a big deal. Not such a big deal. Right? Now, so we said that any malacha that you do on purpose, right, is also forever for everybody. I'm sorry, it's also for you forever, and it's mutar for other people mutar Shabbat. By accident, it's also for everybody on Shabbat. So any malacha that a person would do on Shabbat, even by accident, would be also for everybody to benefit from that malacha on Shabbat.
So that answers the question about the faucet.
Correct. Right.
They cannot.
They
What?
cannot. That's for sure, I said.
They can read the benefit, but you can't tell them. So
The question is,
Catch 22.
no, I didn't say you can't tell them. I said it's for sure usher if it happens. My question is, if I know and you don't know, am I obligated to tell you? That was my question.
You're saying you asked
I don't
Rosh
know.
Hashiva, he said he doesn't know.
I know. That question I asked him, I asked him the question with the thermostat. This particular question I didn't ask him.
Ask him, this is a
So
serious question.
I don't know if I'm obligated to tell him. I would think logically I'm chayav to tell him because ba'atzim there's an isser here, and I have a mitzvah to be mafresh somebody from an isser. But my question was, is it really an isser if bichlal you have no clue whatsoever? So I don't know. Right? It's not like a ma'achal. It's not like a food that's asr I'm eating, a mamash I'm eating ma'achalot achsurot. Right? Do we look at this like a chefte shel isser ba'atzim where I'm doing it over an isser? I don't know. I'm not sure.
If the faucet broke off, right? The handle and water was in the on position and just kept flowing.
Yeah, that's
So you could-
what happened to
Click
you.
it back. Yeah.
No, you could turn it off with your finger. You could always go. Oh, you're saying it. I don't know. This faucet you could turn it on and off without the handle.
What if
You
it was
just
like a
couldn't.
waterfall?
Right.
You could do it
I would
then.
just... Sorry.
I don't think that's okay.
Because I have said no, you can't do it. It's a malacha. It's a malacha d'oraisa.
What would you do though in that case?
It's an issa d'oraisa. What are you doing? You're just saving money.
Swim in the pool?
You're saving money. That's really what it is.
How are you saving money?
Is that also?
No, that's I'm saying. By what are you trying to gain by stopping the water?
What about the
How are you saving money?
No, I'm saying what you're trying to do by fixing it and turning it off is saving money. So there, you're being over an issa d'oraita. There's no heter like that. Even to tell a goy you can't do it. What?
What about wasting?
Yeah, but what if it's like...
There's no
all over
wasting.
your
The halakha
floor,
says you're not allowed to do
Not
it.
in the sink. Not it's only coming in your sink. It's going on your floor.
You see, you can tell a guy to do
Oh, it's like drowning everything, floating everything everywhere. I'm sure
I
there.
don't think it's gonna float the whole room.
I'll tell you, you could go under the sink and turn off the faucet.
You can tell it go, you said?
No, you can't tell a guy to do it instead of right. You could just go under the sink and close it, and that's it. No, right?
Shut off the valve.
Yeah, you could shut off the valve. I could shut off the valve. It's not a big deal.
What about if the light in Shabbat or days of Moed, we set it up, we program that, but unfortunately it didn't turn on. Like we're expecting gas, a lot of gas. It didn't turn
Tell
on.
a guy to do it.
It's okay. That's exactly what we did.
So anything the Rabbanan, you can tell a goy to do it?
If it's for a mitzvah or letzorach, like a very big tzorach.
So also in the case, let's say there's no AC in this room. We're learning here, we're davening here.
Depends how hot it is.
Huh?
If it's very hot, yeah.
Yeah, you can tell, call a goy.
You're not allowed to set things up like this lechatchila.
No, your accent.
Right, if it happens, you're allowed to tell a guy. If it's very hot, yeah.
Lights are off, this is off.
You're allowed to tell a guy,
Can you
yeah.
just tell him directly? What's this?
You could tell him
game?
directly.
No, what's this whole game? Is to tell him indirectly.
You could tell him directly. Whatever. Only certain situations you tell him. You could tell him directly.
What's the story with washing hands?
Hot water, and you can't tell him to turn on.
Speaking after washing hands after.
That's an issue right there.
I don't know.
Wow.
Are you allowed to speak after washing hands?
So the question is, the Gemara says, right after you wash, you have to right away immediately go into a bracha. Right? So there's the Machlokes Rishonim, is it talking about Mayim Achronim or Mayim Rishonim? Right? So according to this, the Ramah is very machmir that you have to right away, you can't make such a big... The whole problem really is, you can't have Esach Hadat. That's the problem. If I wash my hands, right? If I wash my hands and I'm sitting down, and I know I wash my hands, I'm sitting to make a motzi, I didn't forget, and I start to speak to you, right? I don't need to wash my hands again, right? I don't need to wash my hands again, right? Me'ikar hadin din. There is what to rely on if a person speaks, but what the concern is that when I'm going to speak, I'm going to forget I wash my hands. So if I forgot that I washed my hands, for example, I washed my hands around the time, I started to speak, and then I got carried away. I was like, oh, I washed my hands for a motzi, right? Now I got to go wash my hands again without a bracha. But the hesach hadat removes the original natila. That's asur. When you mesiach dat, you remove the original natila in a way. There is a problem. So in order not to be mesiach dat, the Torah don't speak. Verstehst? But if a person would speak, that would not require him to do another natila. And is there something to rely on if he speaks? Yeah. For sure, to speak about things that are related to the su'udah, you're allowed to speak. Can I have the bread, or can I please have the salt? Can I?
Let's say if you actually spoke.
But I heard
and
it's not
this
a
is-
sin to speak.
And he's the
I don't know.
balabai.
I heard you don't have to
not.
even rewash.
You don't.
If he's the balabai and he's doing the mitzvah, and you have a guest there, people there, is he allowed since he spoke and make netilat yadayim, and he spoke after that, and there's a guest sitting around the table? Is he allowed to do a mitzvah?
Say it again. Say the question again.
That person, he spoke, the owner of the house. Usually, that's the one actually make a motzi. He washed his hand, he spoke, and he's sitting, and he said a few words. Okay, accidentally just came out from his mouth, and he's about to say, he's doing a motzi lechem min haaretz, but he spoke.
Doesn't.
How does that goes?
In middle of the bracha you spoke?
Yeah.
What do you mean? How do you speak in middle of the bracha?
In between.
Between, make netilat yadayim,
Yeah.
תביא לי את המלך, או למה
It's
אין פה
מותר.
מזלג?
That's okay.
או
It's
תביא לי
מותר
מזלג.
לכתחילה.
ואז he's doing a motzi lechem min haaretz.
That's okay.
He's saying
It's
he's
okay?
the main guy doing it.
It doesn't make a
He's
difference.
the main guy. He's
לא
the one
שייך.
asking everyone.
זה בסדר? אין בעיה.
It's מותר לכתחילה.
אתה בעל הבית, אתה יכול לדבר.
Not me. Why you put me?
You're allowed to. It's okay. You're allowed to speak. Yeah.
So between, once you wash your hand, netilat yadayim, you're doing a motzi, you're allowed to speak.
Whatever is necessary for the suda, allowed to speak lechatchila. If it's not necessary for the suda, b'diavad, it's not me'akev. But if you mesiach dat, you have to wash your hands again. If you forget you washed bichlal, you have to wash your hands again. You got in a conversation and you realize, oh, we have to make kamoti. I forgot we washed our hands. Right? You go wash only till time, then you forget you wash your hands. You suddenly go to the room somewhere else and you get involved in something. You forgot, so you got to go back and wash your hands. The problem is hesach hadat. So we tell you not to speak in order to avoid coming to hesach hadat, but that's really the problem. It's hesach hadat. Right now, so we gave the general outline. A malacha de oraita that a person does purposely is asur for him forever, and for everybody else mutar motzei Shabbat, and malacha that was done accidentally is mutar for everybody motzei Shabbat. Right? Now we're going to see that this applies to every malacha. The Ben Ish Chai has tshuvas if a person did laundry on Shabbos. Does that clothing remain asur forever? For example, sometimes people are sitting down and something spills on them. Right? What do they do right away? Take water, take salt. Both they tell you, take salt, take water, they go like this. Right? That's an Issa Doraita. It's kibbutz, it's a mamish Issa Doraita. Right? You're being malabin, you're cleaning your beggar.
So Shabbat you're not allowed to put anything. If it got dirty or anything spilled or
nothing.
Food or anything, you're not allowed to touch it.
Take it off lightly, you can wipe it with a napkin, you can take it off lightly. But if it got like muddy, you can't start scraping it off or taking water and washing it off. That's a sur. Taking water is an Issa. So therefore, meal already, just person has to be careful.
So just change the.
If a person bichlal got his whole sleeve dirty somewhere, right, and he goes under a faucet of water and takes a toothbrush and starts to clean it up, right? Right. So now, besides the fact that it's an Issa Doraita, right? After he's finished doing what he's doing, somebody tells him, "Oh, that's asur." So he did it by accident. Now he has to take off this coat, take it off, and not allowed to wear that whole coat on that Shabbat.
Just change that over.
Not allowed to wear that coat on Shabbat. Verstehst? Because the malacha done b'shoigig. If he did it on purpose, the Ben Ish Chai is a shayla whether that coat becomes asur to him forever. So I think he goes on maskana. He says that if you make it dirty again and you rewash it in laundry, it takes away the original issa and it matters it. That's his maskana, right? But
Actually, 2 days ago, I had an incident. Big bottle, very expensive bottle, and a lot of people. Baruch Hashem. So my brother-in-law, he put the wine on the floor, without a cover, and I didn't see that. Actually, I saw it in the beginning, 10 minutes before that, but I forgot about it. And I stand up, say a few words, and I hit it. By the time when I hit it, it turned upside down. It was spilled. When it spilled, I was about to bang down and pick it up, and then at the same time, it banged down also. I hit again, same with a cup of wine that I was holding that wine, and it spilled on me. And I had like a mark over here. And that shirt I was wearing 2 days. The next day I came from shul, actually to shul I wear a nice shirt, but the next day, he said, this is bracha, זה יין נשפך עליי, אני רוצה יום שני גם כן לרבוש אותו. ולבשתי עוד פעם את החולצה הזאת.
yeah, but you got to be careful also. On Shabbat and Yom Tov, you have to make sure you don't have any spots on your clothing.
Oh no? It's better not.
Yes, davar l'alacha, but a person has to make sure he's clean anything. If it happened, you have on the shirt is one thing, but if you have an alternative, you should make sure that you clean. But I understand where you're coming from. You felt like it was bracha because the wine spilled.
Yeah.
They say, I think it's brought down, called bayit shenishpach v'yayin, right? Something like that.
That was in my mind. That's a good blessing.
Wine is always good. So we'll do a little bit more. Right? We'll do the Hagdama over here, the Mishnah Berurah.
Seriously? Okay, אין בעיה.
Yeah?
הרבה זמן לא הייתי. אני צריך לשלם מיסים על זה.
Yeah, it says like this.
ברוך השם.
It says that a person that cooks food or a person that cooks doesn't necessarily have to be food. A person that cooks samamanim, any types of ingredients. Right? A person takes ingredients that's used for dye. Right, different colors that he wants to cook inside water in order to color or dye something. How did they make clothes before? Right, they used to take color, they used to dye it in water, they used to dip it inside, leave it there until it absorbs all the color, and then they used to take it out. Right, that's one of the Ikarei Malachim of Malachas of Bishul here. Yes.
Quick question. I have in mind to have this. I say shakol on my drink. Should I say another bracha? Yeah.
Amen. So the fact that you're in a shul, it's a public place, everything here is out for the public. You're not necessarily a guest by anybody. If you'd be in somebody's house and you're a guest by somebody's house, you wouldn't need to say another bracha. Because once you say one bracha, it covers everything that's related to that bracha in the course of your stay in the meal, of course, right? That doesn't cover for...
What if I do feel like a guest? It's not my shul.
No. It's still a public place. Everything that's put out here is for the public. Nothing here is right. Nothing here is he says over here there's an issa d'oraita of even milk or even Water, right? When you're cooking water also, even though you don't need to cook it, it's already, edible the way it is. Even so, there's an issue the rice of cooking water. This is the rice of cooking water. There comes a problem, when? When you rinse a cup, and then you pour boiling hot water inside that cup. So that water that's in that cup, you're cooking it when you're pouring boiling water over it. So you gotta be careful when you rinse a cup to make sure that you wipe it clean before you pour boiling water over it. Inside the actual cup. Just
Dry it out completely.
You're gonna dry it up, yeah. Right, v'chada ofeh et tapat. Also, baking is also asur. You want to bake bread. All these things are nisud d'oraita. All these things are one inyan. Amatir echad. Also, if a person if a person melts any sorts of metal, right? Also, an isur d'oraita of bishul. Right, and taking something hard and making something soft, or taking something soft and making something hard with heat. Right, through hot heat, that's already Bichlal the Isser of Bishul. Right? When you take metal and you turn it into something red, you turn it into like a coal, that's also an Isser of Bishul. That was the Isser of the lights back in the day. Take a light bulb, and in the light bulb, right, there's metal over there. And when you turn on the light bulb, those metals would get very red. And that was the Isser. Right, that was the Isser there. Okay.
Silver.
Or a person, hamimames et hadonag, right? The person takes wax and he melts it. For example, you have now on your kiddush cup, you have a little bit wax on the side, right? You have a little bit wax on the side. So you put it next to the candle, and it melts it. It's the d'oraita of bishul. Or you go and you put it under a hot stream of water, and you boil it down, cook it off with heat. That's also the d'oraita of bishul. You gotta be careful. Or at a chaylev, or at a zefet, okay, all these things are considered a mevashel. Or also if a person takes a piece of wood and he throws it into the oven until it becomes dry, since it's something that was softer and that makes it harder by removing all the liquid substance when it's in the fire, that also would become asr. It's a general rule, he says, when you take something hard and you make it soft, it takes wood, make it hard through fire, brings the Rambam that holds, all these things are going to be an isser d'oraisa of a bishul.
Sir, I want to ask you a question. Candle of Dalah, is that necessary to put the candle, dip it inside the wine?
No.
It's not. I bought a candle, nice candle, yesterday, and that's what we've been doing all the time. So once actually we finish the Abdallah, the Bracha, I take the candle, and I have the lid of it, I have to cover up inside, but tefillah of that yain. And that candle, unfortunately, did not turn off. And it just melted the whole top of it took like about 25-30 seconds until, and I don't want to dip it inside the wine.
Why?
Just because it's gonna
wine
all over.
So it's dirty. You know what I do?
Messy and
You know what I do? I take use a match to light it, or light whatever. Sometimes they use a match, sometimes they don't. So if I have a match, I just take the match, I take the wick, and I fold it down because there's melted wax in that area.
Yes.
I just fold the wicks down into the wax and it turns it off.
That's what I did.
Or
Stick the wire.
Or he doesn't want to get it dirty everywhere. So, or else, what I do? I take a napkin, I dip it inside the wine a little bit that spilled on the plate, and I just put it on top of the candle, just on that area, and it turns it off.
That's okay.
You could do one of those two things. That's what I usually do if I want to keep everything clean.
So make it moist, the napkin.
Yeah, take the napkin, just put it on top and turn it off. Yeah, and it keeps all the wax there, and it doesn't spill everywhere, it doesn't get everywhere. I just turn it off right there and then, like that. Or like I said before, you could just take something and just take the actual wicks and put it into the wax. When you look at it, you'll understand what I'm saying. It will turn off like that also.
גדול יפה, גדול יפה,
שופך על זה, ואחר כך שופך בחזרה.
אבל זה צלחת גדולה. I can actually take from the plate, the big plate,
לא
and
בדיוק,
spill.
מה ששתית, עם הזה תשפוך
Or
על
you're
זה,
talking about a
ואחר
little
כך
level
תשפוך
in
על
the cup,
הצלחת,
and then
בטח.
spill a little bit there. You are spilling, actually what I do, I spill the whole cup inside that plate, and then the candle I turn upside down, which actually always ruin the top of the candle. You can see black, gray, and
מה אתה עושה?
destroying the whole
אתה
beauty.
שותה את זה, שופך על הקנדל,
Yeah, so I leave it a little bit, it's okay.
הקנדל, שופך
Got
בתוך
it,
הזה,
got it.
ומריח את
I
זה,
see.
נותן את הכסף.
זה בסדר, נכון?
השני גם קצת כסף.
כן, בסדר, אבל תראה בשמחה.
You know, they have a joke, right? They say one time A guy in yeshiva told me like 15 years ago. He's like, when you put the wine, you put it in your pocket, he says, you know why people don't become rich? He says, because they're always putting in their Shabbos clothes. You don't go you don't go to work in the Shabbos clothes. Yeah. You should know that the Gemara does say, the Gemara says the people that were rich in Bavel, they were zocheh to be rich because they were mechabed Shabbat. Such a mechabed Shabbat. Give a lot of respect for Shabbat. Shabbat was something very valuable to them. It says anytime there's a machloket whether something is asur or not, or any malacha there's a machloket whether it's asur or not, and somebody did it, there is no isur of knas. We need to say the chachamim came along. They say if a person does a malacha purposely, it's asur for him forever. Everybody else moter Shabbat. Accidentally, everything's asur for everybody until moter Shabbat. That's a knas chachamim. The chachamim came and made a fine. So once something is made in be'isr, you can't have an af of it. So people will be more careful for next time, right? It helps remove people away from this isr. So if there's a machloket whether something is mutar or asr, or is machloket whether it's asr d'oraisa d'rabbanan, we're always going to go lakula. We're always going to be makel by knas. So say if a person took soup, right? A person took hot soup. A person took soup that was cooked, took it out of the fridge and put it on the plata. So the Shulchan Aruch says that's isr d'oraita. Bishul achar bishul balach is isr d'oraita, correct? But now there are many poskim who hold there's no bishul achar bishul balach. So this is a machloket, whether it is bishul or whether it's not bishul. So in such a case scenario, if somebody did it by accident, they didn't know, based on this mishabur, it would be mutter to eat it.
Can you know that he did it?
Based on this mishabur, it would be mutter, yeah. Because anything that's machloket, whether it's asr or not, if you did it by accident, you will not be asr. If it's fully cooked. No, I'm not talking about Mechalel Shabbat. No. I'm talking about, say, from home, you took soup that was cooked, it was in the fridge, you have a blech or a plata on, and somebody did not know that you're not allowed to warm up soup. Say you have guests in your house. Some people are less from than others. Some people are basic. Some people don't know halachot too much, right? They think if it's cooked, what did I do already? They don't know. So they come and they take the soup and they put it on the blech, right? And then you come eat soup on the blech. They tell you, and now what? Can we eat it or not? Right, so if they did it by accident and there's a machloket whether or not there's bishul achar bishul balach, even though we hold that there is, but since there's a machloket, you wouldn't apply this knas, this fine that it would be asur that whole Shabbat for everybody, and it would be mutter to eat that soup on Shabbat, even though be'etzim he was over an isser, but it would be mutter because of machloket. Verstehst? That's what the Mishnah Berurah says, huh? Famidi. Okay, we'll use the word famidi from now on. We use the word famidi instead of verstehst. Right?
Verstehst, yeah.
Right, דחל משאר מלאכות, ואם היא מלאכה דרבנן, להכריח כולו לא מעלים מצוות בשווים, לא מסתובב בדבר, ליהנות ממנה. Right, what about if a person did a מלאכה דרבנן by accident on Shabbat? If a person did a מלאכה דרבנן by accident on Shabbat, there's no knas. Bishop Berurah passes there's no knas. You can rely on this Bishop Berurah. Person did a derabanan by accident. The Rabbanan, he turned on the light by accident, right? Didn't realize. So over there, since he did it by accident, he didn't realize there would be room to be lenient, so to say you could benefit from it on Shabbat. Right? So now the question is, if a person did a malacha on Shabbat, so he's not allowed to have hana'ah from that malacha forever, for example. Right? Let's say a person does a jewelry, right? Sitting down in his room, he works at home, let's say, and on Shabbat he's melting the whole jewelry piece. He makes the jewelry piece, makes something nice, and he knows it's Shabbat. And then afterwards he goes, his friend calls him over, he goes to his friend's house and they're sitting and they're talking, and he gets, right?
Talk about is how valuable, beautiful job he did.
But now his friend convinces him that this is not right. So he says, you know what, from now on, I'm going to try to keep Shabbat, I'm not going to break Shabbat anymore, right? So now this beautiful, valuable piece, he did it on purpose, not allowed to benefit from it, right? To wear it, he's not allowed. He's never allowed to wear it. And the fact that he did it for certain people for business, officially they're not allowed to buy from him, right? So what is he allowed to do? Here, there would be... No, here, in a way... Here, no, it would be more of a tariff. There would be more of a tariff to say that you could buy this particular item from him. He cannot keep it for himself. He cannot wear it himself. He cannot give it to his wife either. His wife is like him. But he could sell it and have enough of the money from it. Or if a person cooks something on Shabbat purposely, right? And then afterwards, he was already realized, you know what? How long am I going to break Shabbat for? I want to start keeping Shabbat. That's it, no more. So now what he cooked he's not allowed to eat, but he's allowed to sell it and benefit from the money from it. Ben Ish Chai doesn't allow. Ben Ish Chai, the Kaf HaChaim, they don't allow. They say the whole thing is that's it, gone for you.
Benefit maybe for tzedakah.
Whatever you want. But the Mishabura and the Orchot and others, they say that no. You're allowed to have benefit from the money from it. Lamaisa, you can have benefit from the money from it. If you sell it, and you're allowed to have benefit from the money from it. It's not like... Now, this is a very interesting halakha. If a person cooked in his pots on Shabbat, the person doesn't keep Shabbat, and he cooked in those pots on Shabbat, does those pots need to be kasher? Are those pots considered treif or not?
If it's called...
Are those pots considered treif or not?
No, it's not.
He says that it is.
It is?
Yes. Because the food, when you cook food by Isser, that food has a din Isser, and therefore the pots that were cooked with this Isser are absorbed Isser, and those pots need to be kasher. So you have a problem that now even if you go to his house, and even if he just wants to cook something kosher for you in those pots, you would have a problem of Isser, of Isser there. Now, I'm not going to say everybody agrees to this, but Lama said a lot of poskim would hold like this. Based on the Shrashba, that it would be Aser. This pot would be considered a patchul Isser, so if this person would want to be Chayzer B'tshuva, he would need to kasher his pots Zachatchila. B'diavad, if he didn't use them in 24 hours, here B'diavad, there would be Mekom. But
would you be able to lachshir it? Would you be able to make it?
You do Hagala.
Hagala.
Hagala, no problem. He brings over here a Ravada in the back, I think, that speaks about this. Right? Speaks about this. Where is this? Right here. 5. Yeah. Yeah, so the Ben Ish Chai, the Kaf HaChaim, they all say that it's Aser. Right, that you have to kasher it. Right, that over here is worse than Rishud Yaakov. He says, brings the Ravadi over here. Right, and he says over here, that B'diavad it's okay to have. Right, that B'diavad for this person it's okay to have. We need to say the person who cooked in the actual pots, the Ravadi says B'diavad he could use it, continue without kashering it, and for other people, B'chlal it's not Aser. That's what Ravadi Paskins. You can rely on that also. Right, that if a person was Mechalel Shabbat and he cooked in all of his pots and everything else, and now suddenly he wants to become from, we're not going to require him to do Hagal on all of his pots and pans because he used them on Shabbat. That's understood that he keeps kosher. Right, generally people that don't keep Shabbat, a lot of times they don't keep kosher. Right, but if a person keeps kosher and he doesn't keep Shabbos, or he keeps Shabbos, but he does some stuff like cooks and stuff like that, you wouldn't require him to kasher his pots based on Chalmani's Pesach. Okay, we'll stop there.
אז זג ברוך, שבע.